welcome to another book review with Alice. Today we are going to talk about Pan's Labyrinth, which is another book that I read in October from my spooky books that I was reading during spooky season. So I gave Pan's Labyrinth 4 stars. I'm going to be honest with you, I did see the movie when it came out, so I had not read the book until now after having seen the movie. And when I saw the movie when it came out, I was very confused. I'm gonna be honest. I watched it, I couldn't quite follow the story, I was a little confused. So this was one of those cases where reading the book made the movie make so much more sense, though I do still have questions at the end, which I don't know how I feel about that. But it's my copy in particular is a beautiful copy. It has this lovely artwork on the sides of it. There's also the fables inside of it, as you know, we learn the stories about her. It's got a little bit of extra artwork, which is really pretty, and the edition is just lovely. I love the color. But I did like the movie, but I liked the book way more because the book helped make sense of the things I didn't understand in the movie. So this is one of those cases where you need that internal dialogue and little background info you get in books that you don't get necessarily in movies. And I like the character of Ofelia. I love how she loves stories and books. Come on, what author does not like a character who loves themselves in books? And so she reads fairy tales often, and when she moves with her mother to her new stepfather, she literally brings her fairy tales and not really anything else. And the premise is that her father was a tailor who died, and her mother, it's during World War II, and her mother finds a Nazi who she ends up in a relationship with to protect her and her daughter, and so she marries him and is pregnant with his son, and so they go to live with him in his outpost where he's trying to handle the Spanish rebellion or resistance that is uprising there. And so when they get there is the whole legend appears of whether or not Ofelia is the fairy daughter of the king of the fairies and that who was lost years ago because she was so fascinated by the human world. And I like that in the book the little extra stories we get told about a little bit are tied to the characters and tied to this whole legend that she is actually that fairy princess and I really enjoyed it. The characters were very interesting and they're very deep and they do different types of things, and it was creepy and weird. And you know, there's fairy tales in it, but they're kind of weird and twisted, and there's a whole bunch of fairy tales about some like witch that got drowned in this like mill that they're staying at. And I like it because there were little side adventures with these fables, but the side adventures were just as interesting as the actual story was in them. And the girl is very brave and she's very strong, and I mean, there's Labyrinth in the wood, and I love Labyrinth so much. So I thought it was a really great read. If you're looking for something different, this is definitely one I would recommend. I loved it. I'm getting rid of a bunch of my spooky reads, but I don't think I'm going to get rid of this one because it's pretty and I really liked it. And yeah, so if you're looking for something different, definitely give this one a try. The advantage too is that there is a movie that is made from it and it's really good. So if you're confused by the book, you can watch the movie. If you were confused by the movie, you can read the book. They go very well together. And yeah, like I said, there was a few things at the end I'm still asking. Mainly it's one of those cases where when the story ended, I was not 100% sure whether it ended the way it's supposed to, or whether it was like not a dream, but whether it was one of those okay, spoiler. So better run away if you haven't yet. So at the end of the movie, in that we find out that she dies, like Ofelia dies, and then we're kind of made to think that her spirit goes on to the fairy world, but I don't actually know if it was the case where the spirit actually went on to the fairy world in the story, or whether it was kind of like her dream in her head as she was dying. So that I kind of wish was a little more for sure clear. Just I think it's because the way that they ended it in the book, they ended it with more legend stuff and not ending it with her going into the world, and I think that's what's making me a little bit confused. But yeah, it was a great read, definitely spooky, definitely give it a try. And that creepy guy with the eyeball hands, he's disturbing. Seriously, oh man, read it. Yeah, 4 stars. Check it out if you like this kind of spooky stuff. And yeah, let me know what you guys are reading in the comments, and I hope you have a great day and happy reading.